Then, this is the second broadcast from the street. Astrid just reported a few moments ago because things are getting intense over there in Iran. There is a meeting in Washington right now. Donald Trump has gone to the bunker, the operations bunker, the so-called war room inside the White House to be prepared and ready. There are reports from an Israeli media outlet insisting that there has already been an attack in which an American ship was hit by Iran. According to the Iranians, they report having completely closed the Strait of Hormuz. And inside the Strait of Hormuz, there would be American ships that supposedly cannot leave, according to what they say. They claim that a historic attack is coming from Iran. That's what they say. What's more, the United States tried to talk to them to say, we're not going to attack you anymore. We're not going to conduct any more operations. The attack was only a response to the Apache helicopter attack that happened yesterday. But we're done. We've finished. But apparently, well, Iran doesn't agree with that. They completely closed the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, what is known, what is being leaked to the US media, is that the next operation by the United States, which is already underway, would be a large-scale attack on Iran. It would be, well, I'm going to tell you the word that Donald Trump used, but that's how he said it, right? Well, it's a curse word, and he says we're going to blow them to pieces. That's what Donald Trump said in response. Tonight in the United States in the early morning, almost at dawn, from Iran, supposedly a massive attack is coming, an attack to wipe out. But he says it's going to be short. It's going to be a very big attack, but a short one from the United States against Iran. Inside the United States Embassy in the neighboring country of Iraq, they're already telling Americans, obviously, not to travel to Iraq. And if they can leave Iraq, it's better for them to get out. In other words, the warnings before a war or a major conflict are already being given in the surrounding countries. At least in the embassy in Iraq, this report is already being issued. What are the Iranian authorities saying? Well, they're also beating the drums of war at full volume, saying that the next move will be a historic one, at least for them. So the conflict is simply expanding. It's expanding. We have to remember that the phase for the Iranians, the next phase, let's say, was to extend the conflict outside the Middle East. So that's also a concern that exists today, nowadays, in the end. During the day, there was a report of 22 countries that are coming to an agreement and coordinating internal defense. Because says they realized that in recent weeks, there have been coordinated attacks from Iran on different Western countries. Here we are talking about countries from Oceania, Europe, and America, including Canada. There wasn't a single Latin American country among these countries that have coordinated so far. As far as I know, up to now, there hasn't been a single Latin American country involved. It could be Argentina, I think a country that signs this and is part of the agreements. But for now, the concern of those 22 countries is that Iran's attack could spread from now on to those countries. Well, in fact, they say that they're already seeing coordination of sabotage and things like that. So Iran is moving into a full phase of conflict now. It seems like they're comfortable with that. It seems like that's the approach they wanted. It seems to me that they've fallen into the trap because it was clear that they had been trying to instigate this into becoming a conflict. They liked it. They liked the operation, how it turned out in the Strait of Hormuz. And here they kept raising the stakes. We saw how they raised the stakes. First, by carrying out attacks against the Gulf country, gradually closing the Strait of Hormuz more and more. And, well, now with zero negotiation, right? There was always supposed to be negotiation. Everything for us is 100%, and nothing else is negotiable. Everything else is a red line. Process. So there was no attempt to negotiate. This morning, Donald Trump said that they've been fooled. Not that they fooled them, that they go to meetings and they're always presented with the same things. And, well, whether they were fooled or not, while all this happened, all these months or rather weeks of no conflict, apparently it was clear that Iran was becoming increasingly prepared and that it was trying to form alliances with Russia, with China, even with Oman itself, with Oman and with the Houthis, who, well, have already resumed attacks from Yemen. So right now, what we're seeing is an urgent meeting, supposedly attacks coming toward different locations. An attack or a report of an attack on a US ship, which I insist, this part still needs to be confirmed, because even though a serious Israeli media outlet is reporting it, I think we should wait to have all the complete details. For now, what catches my attention is that neither Iran nor the United States has confirmed that attack. What does make me think that the attack happened is that they are already in an urgent meeting led by Donald Trump, thinking that it's going ahead, that he himself is announcing that it's coming. A massive operation, I mean, an operation, he says, on a large scale, but short in duration. That's what Donald Trump promises, let's say, even though MAGA and Trump's closest supporters, those who have backed him, are totally against this conflict. In fact, today it was reported that the United States could issue a mandatory call-up of young people for the war, which, if it were to happen, would be totally unpopular. If it's already an unpopular war, this could make it even more unpopular. So keep an eye on that issue. And as you said, also, I mean, right in the middle of the World Cup, cheers, BSK, how have you been? Good to see you. Exactly, I mean, right in the middle of the World Cup, just one day before the World Cup kicks off. That's the worst case scenario imagined for a World Cup like this. As we already know, Iran's strategy, Iran's move has never been to fight a symmetrical war, but quite the opposite, a war completely outside, let's say outside the rules, right? They know that's the only way they have to put pressure. And that's why the United States' strategy was to negotiate at all costs. And well, it couldn't be done, right? Something was started, but then they wanted to stop it before the World Cup. And obviously the Iranians realized that the United States was in a hurry to negotiate because of the World Cup. So they said, well, we're not negotiating. And this obviously has a cost, right? Wars, eliminating Ali Khamenei, comes at a cost. The fact that up until now, look at what day it was, just one day before the World Cup. And that not even once has the supreme leader, Mustafa Khamenei, not even once has he come out to, in public, not even his voice has been heard. It suggests that they are either in total paranoia, or Mukhtar Khamenei is simply almost unable to, well, to operate, right? But there are US intelligence reports that say he is indeed involved in operations and is taking part in decision making. So, well, US intelligence, look, they must know something if Mustafa apparently is still active, just as they have been saying, hello Pandarita, and good day to everyone joining us. So that's the situation, right? Obviously, I think this is going to be one of the main topics for tonight's live stream. I think so. And obviously, as we get updates, we'll confirm whatever we know, whatever comes up. It's probably going to be an intense night right before a World Cup with, I imagine, one of the most intense security operations in history. Because, well, I don't know if there's any precedent for a conflict of this level. And that an event like this is taking place, right? A global event, after all, these kinds of events go down in history. This is a big deal. The inauguration is in Mexico. Obviously, they're deploying thousands, even tens of thousands of soldiers in Mexico. They're obviously ready for this. In fact, we're right next to a military base here, and we were just watching the soldiers marching outside. So, well, this topic is super interesting. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on this situation, and we'll see how things develop as the hours go by, especially as the hours of this urgent meeting pass. I think it's going to be revealed what Trump's operation is. In the end, the operation is supposedly going to go after targets that had already been identified. I don't know if the next phase will be the one Trump had promised to go after Karg Island, which I think would be a point of no return, right? I mean, there are attacks. What kind of attacks would there be? I mean, what would they be? To see if it would be possible to mount an operation to attack and overthrow the regime. I think it would have already been done. No, I don't think they're in that position. I mean, do they have enough bunkers in the mountains to take shelter for a long time? So I don't think that's the case. The fact that Donald Trump goes out and says these really, really harsh words, well, they're very out of place. Out of place for a president. Honestly, it makes me think there's a certain degree of desperation, you know? Like wanting to show strength when you feel really weak. That's when you want to show a lot of strength and you shout and shout, but that actually makes you look even weaker. So for me, I think, I mean, if Trump were a bit quieter when it comes to war operations, I think it would be more impactful. No, I mean, be careful, because Trump is already silent and anything could happen, but that's not the case. Trump shouts a lot, says a lot, and the operations are usually much smaller than the ones I did. The same goes for the Ayatollahs. They always exaggerate a lot. They're already doing it right now. They're saying a historic response is coming. We'll see if it's a historic response or not, because they've talked about and mentioned many historic responses constantly, and absolutely nothing happens, right? So in that sense too, no, there isn't. I mean, they exaggerate a lot. That's been the dynamic we've had. But, well, I'll be there. Obviously, Astrid and I will be paying close attention to the information down to the last detail, and we'll be commenting and analyzing. Not only that, obviously, we'll be analyzing what the scenarios are, especially for a hybrid war. Thinking about what's happening right now, we're just about to have the World Cup, and we're in one of the host cities, this. So we're going to be watching all of this very closely, and we'll be looking at the details. Let's see how we feel about the security and our surroundings where we live. In some places, they'll even ask you for coffee, for gafet. They haven't told us anything, but let's hope we can get into the house, obviously, and see if they don't lock us in. But anyway, let's read some comments. How has it been for you? Obviously, as you can see, it's a sunny day after so many cloudy or rainy days. If anyone else feels like the World Cup could be postponed, says Bresca, I don't see how that could happen from a logistics point of view. I think there's no turning back now. I mean, the World Cup is about to start and there's no turning back. I don't think so, no. I don't think it's going to be postponed because there hasn't been any real risk, anything like that. Possibly, there could be hybrid warfare, but let's hope nothing happens to Mexico. Thinking that, well, they might want to operate, I imagine, where there's a country they consider an enemy. Hey, well, I'm leaving now. I'm arriving here at street. We have to move now. So, well, I'll say goodbye. Now, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again in a little while. Thank you very much. We'll keep reporting. The next update will be from the studio and we'll keep talking, right? Have an excellent day. See you later. Goodbye.